Hello, my favorite fams, what's up? And welcome to African History. This is a place where you will learn everything about African history. Today we will be talking about African prehistory and evolution of hominids and Homo sapiens in Africa. The continent of Africa was the cradle of human life. Each stage in the development of humankind can be traced in the African record. The ancient civilization of Egypt flourished there. In the classical world of Greece and Rome, Africa was regarded as a source of wisdom. Many great yet viable kingdoms and states once thrived on the African continent. Much of South and Central Africa's history took place in comparative isolation from the rest of the world, while Sub-Saharan Africa traded with the North Mediterranean and Northeast Africa traded with the Middle East and with India. European attitudes towards Africa changed with the Christianization of Europe, so that by the Middle Ages, Africa became associated with darkness and heathen religious practices. In 1454 and 1483, the Pope ceded much of Africa to the emerging maritime colonial powers, Spain and Portugal. In the 19th century, the northern European colonial powers divided the rest of Africa among themselves. Exploitation followed of the continent's wealth and people, with few resources being invested for the continent's own benefit. The decolonization process during the 20th century saw the emergence of nation-states with artificial borders, often crossing tribal boundaries and with limited infrastructure. Political instability and economic crises characterized much of Africa during the second half of the 20th century. Presidents tended to be for life, and political freedom was rare. However, such leaders led countries that lacked a solid civil society foundation upon which democracy could be built. Many of these authoritarian leaders accumulated vast fortunes for themselves while they impoverished their countries and increased their country's financial indebtedness to the West. At the beginning of the 21st century, it could be argued, European nations began to accept some moral responsibility for the plight of Africa due to centuries of exploitation and underdevelopment, and to make its development a political priority. For many, Africa represents a moral challenge to humanity and a test of humanity's commitment to create a more just, more equitable world. The evolution of hominids and the Homo sapiens in Africa. The genus Homo, including 8 species of which only Homo sapiens remains. According to the latest paleontological and archaeological evidence, hominids were already in existence at least 5 million years ago. These animals were still very much like their close cousins, the great African apes, but had adopted a bipedal form of locomotion, giving them a crucial advantage in the struggle for survival, as this enabled them to live in both forested areas and on the open savanna, at a time when Africa was drying up, with savanna encroaching on forested areas. By 3 million years ago, several Australopithecine hominid species had developed throughout southern, eastern, and central Africa. The next major evolutionary step occurred approximately 2 million years ago, with the arrival of Homo habilis, the first species of hominid capable of making tools. This enabled Homo habilis to begin eating meat, using his stone tools to scavenge kills made by other predators, and harvest cadavers for their bones and marrow. In hunting, Homo habilis was probably not capable of competing with large predators, and was still more prey than hunter, although he probably did steal eggs from nests, and may have been able to catch small game, and weakened larger prey, cubs and older animals. Around 1 million years ago, Homo erectus had evolved. With his relatively large brain, 1,000 cubic centimeters, he mastered the African plains, fabricating a variety of stone tools that enabled him to become a hunter equal to the top predators. In addition, Homo erectus mastered the art of making fire, and was the first hominid to leave Africa, colonizing the entire Old World, and later giving rise to Homo floresiensis. This is now contested by new theories suggesting that Homo georgicus, a Homo habilis descendant, was the first and most primitive hominid to ever live outside Africa. The fossil record shows Homo sapiens living in southern and eastern Africa between 100,000 to 150,000 years ago. The earliest human exodus out of Africa and within the continent is indicated by linguistic and cultural evidence, and increasingly by computer-analyzed genetic evidence. We have come to the end of today's